Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for another office hours training. I'm Crystal Gunn, your financial strategist and small business advisor. And part of my job as that strategist, be it on the business side or the personal side, is to help you create a solid financial relationship or to help you build a strong business base or foundation on which you can grow. Part of what I do that I love the most is helping you have some aha moments, some self-discovery moments, and helping you see what no longer serves you so that you can release it. All of that helps with the breakthroughs. That's where you start to shift, and that's where the magic happens, be it on your personal side or in your overall business. For the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about some bad money finance habits observed in us. And when I say us, I'm specifically speaking to the Black community, right? And when we think about healing and redefining our financial relationships, we have to peel back all of the layers in order to break those generational curses so that we can build new strategies for the generations that follow. It's not enough for us to just do it for us. We have to think about the generations that are coming behind us. And so last week, I started on the legacy of insufficient savings, the historical context, the generational impact, and the social economic challenges. And today I want to just round that out and talk about breaking that cycle, right? Remember, this is about mindset and understanding why people operate the way that we do so that we can heal, thrive, and prepare the next generation. So when you talk about breaking that cycle, right, of that cycle of insufficient savings, right? When we talk about that, and then we have to talk about how do you then shape that pathway to financial security going forward, right? And one of those ways is promoting financial literacy. I'm not a fan of the term, but that's the term that they use in this space. I prefer more along the lines of financial empowerment, right? And so increasing access to financial education is crucial for empowering African Americans to build savings, build wealth in general, and to be able to pass it down to the next generation. I facilitate workshops all the time. I speak about the numbers, meaning credit, budgeting, life insurance, home ownership, etc. Go to my website and subscribe so that you get the notices from my in-person and online workshops, most of which are usually free. There's typically only a charge when I'm doing a clinic where it's more hands-on and we're actually doing the work during the workshop. Now, here's the problem, right? There's tons of free workshops across the country, right? Right? There could be workshops happening every single day, all day. But if we're not going to show up, what difference does it make? We're not going to get the information. And I see this all of the time. So like I'm located in Detroit, Michigan, but I see this all of the time where I was just telling somebody this the other day. Detroit has down payment assistance money, like $25,000 if you're buying a house. And there was a workshop explaining it and all of that. And it was 200 people in the room, right? Well, let's say 40% of those people could qualify that day. Some of them might have been a few points shy. Some of them may not have had the work history. About 40% could qualify in that moment for that down payment assistance. That other 60%, again, some of them just needed a little work, right? They would show up to find out about the money and about the assistance that was available, but would not show up after the fact to figure out what they needed to do in order to get where they needed to be to get the assistance. We don't show up too often, right? And it's crazy when we talk about, a good number for attendance on a financial literacy workshop is between 12 and 20 people. Well, it should be 50 people in the room, but we don't value it. we don't put this, that same value that we say, oh, you need to go to college. Oh, you need a church home. Where's that same value for getting financial education, right? There are these, I don't know, it's almost like it's a stigma. If I go to a credit workshop, that must mean that I have bad credit, and I don't want people to know that I have bad credit. Well, you do have bad credit, right? But that's not the point. The point is to go to get the information. Doesn't matter where you are. People with good credit, guess what? They come to credit workshops too, because they know if they get one extra thing, or if they have a question, or they learn one thing to get them even better credit. That's how you learn. It's like if you go to, and then I encourage people to come to my workshops. Yep, you came to a credit workshop today. The next time, come to a credit workshop again, because what you got today and you were able to implement, you may now have additional questions. It's not a one stop and you do the thing and everything is great. For a lot of people, these are new concepts. Even if people have had credit for the last 20 years, you're going to learn some new concepts, some ways of operating and utilizing your credit effectively, because most people are not. Right. And so being able to show up and understand the importance, and not only showing up for you, but if you have grown children, and I'm talking about anywhere from 16 and up, you need to bring them with you, right? Because they're going to understand it for themselves differently. And guess what? Now you can go back and you can have conversations with one another. And I did it wasn't my workshop, but I spoke at a workshop. It was about home ownership, but I spoke at this workshop, and had a table there like everybody else who was on that spoke that day. But I talked to a woman, and she was there, had her home. She already had her own home and been had her house, right? But she brought her 3 kids, and they were like 19 to age 25, some in that time frame or age frame. And she brought them, and she says, I made a point to come to this to bring them so that they could get all of this information. They need to know. And I had to commend her, because she could have said, well, I got my house, right? But she also knows that children will listen to people differently than they listen to their parents. Oh, you just trying to tell me whatever. She was like, I need them to hear from someone other than me. And so kudos for that. So we have to put more value into going to, especially free financial workshops. And you may come to all my series. I encourage you to go to other series too. You may hear something different, or it may resonate with you differently because somebody said it a different kind of way. Show up, get the knowledge. They talk about being in the room. Get the knowledge, because it's one of those things they would always say, if you want to keep it from Black folks, put it in a book. But it's also like, you want to keep it from Black folks, put it in a workshop, because they're not going to read the book and they're not going to show up for the workshop. So I'm challenging you to show up so that we can then help to break these generational curses. The second one is creating economic opportunities. And so, the standard, addressing income disparity through fair employment practices, equal pay, and support for Black-owned businesses can provide absolutely financial stability need to build savings and wealth. But we've been having these same discussions over and over and over again for years. And I'm over that, right? So what are the actions that we're actually willing to take in order to see change? Are you intentionally supporting Black-owned businesses without extra hard expectations because they are Black? So often we go into places, and the very thing that you get from some other nationality that you say nothing about, well, now all of a sudden, because it's a Black-owned business, you're complaining. And you're not mentioning it out of a place of love and wanting to uplift. You're mentioning it out of a place of hate, right? And are you learning all you need to know about your own business so that you can scale and grow to hire more people that look like you? It starts with the individual. Can we make a change? Yes. Do we have to stop relying on those who have benefited from our oppression? Or do we decide that we're going to do something for ourselves? And I think everybody would agree B is the right answer. So what are you going to do? It starts with the individual, then your family, and then you go from there, right? And the third thing is building trust in financial institutions. Now, this is an interesting topic, because it's hard to build trust in institutions that have failed us, yet we still utilize them, right? And so the banking system has failed us forever. And when I say us, I mean Black folks, but it's also failing everybody else. But systemically, it fails us, right? And you've seen banks find millions of dollars because of discrimination and things of that nature. And even with all of that, even the even the experience that you may personally experience, no, even the racism rather that you may personally experience your own banking relationship, and I've seen it happen and have had conversations with people that they experienced something and they still didn't close their account and go somewhere else, and their comments were either, oh, I just didn't feel like closing my account and switching all of my stuff, or, well, I'm going to get the same thing somewhere else, right? So we don't do what we need to do in order to push for change. But interestingly enough, we also don't support the Black-owned banks, right? Not enough, right? COVID caused a lot of the Black-owned banks to have to shut down, um, because we also did not have the amount of assets put in it. Because I've had people say, oh, yeah, well, I got a bank. I have an account at this, Black-owned bank. Well, are you putting money in it? Because that's how banks work, like under today's rules. Are you putting money in it? If it's just okay to have the account open, but then you're still using this other bank over here for your transactions. You're still using this other bank over here for your lending options, right? So we don't support them enough. And so it can't be the fear of the bank failing, because you have major global big banks failing all of the time, right? And yet we still put our money in the big banks. So if it's not the fear of failing, of the banks failing, why doesn't every Black person in this country have their money in a Black bank or credit union? Now, I'm not saying put your money just there. And the reason that I say that is because I always say, people say, well, how many bank accounts should I have? And I said, it just depends on how you want to separate your money. Different banks and credit unions do different things. So you have different relationships with them based off of the things that they provide, the services that they provide, based off what it is that you need, right? But one thing that I want to say, when you put your money in that Black bank, let's not expect subpar service or products or service with relaxed guidelines, right? They're not going to lend to you just, we're a Black bank and you want us to lend to you just because you're Black. Well, that's how a Black bank is going to fail, right? Because you can't just do that. There's still regulations and guidelines that we got to abide by in order to make sure that the bank does not fail, right? So again, it goes back to, if it's not the fear of banks failing because you keep your money in the big banks that fail, right? And then they're absorbed and bought by someone else, but yet you won't put your money into a Black bank at all. Make it make sense, right? So always understanding the historical, generational, social, and economic factors contributing to insufficient savings among African Americans is crucial for developing effective strategies to promote financial security. And so again, I talk about this stuff a lot. We have to address the root causes and provide pathways to financial empowerment. We must break the cycle of financial insecurity and build a foundation for lasting economic stability and growth. It is vital for the generations that follow us. This journey to financial liberation begins with acknowledging the past, right? Educating for the future and fostering an environment where savings and wealth building are accessible. If not, the 2053 prediction of Blacks having zero wealth will become a reality. It can't happen on my watch, which is why I continue to talk about these things. Getting our own financial houses in order is where you start, but you got to get out and get the information. It's not coming to knock on your door and giving it to you, right? You got to go out and get it, right? And it can't always be in these 30 and 60-second sound bites. You got to go get it. And then when you hear it, you need to implement it, right? We can talk all day long about breaking generational curses. If the curse is going to stop with you, then the new system of success must start with you. You have to get the tools in order to create those new systems of success. Okay. So there is no favorite thing today. It is just not, other than getting your financial house in order. So take a look at the description below and find the products, the services, the consultations that work for you so that you can act on it. Life is about elevation. It's a journey. And again, if we're going to change the trajectory of that 2053 prediction, we see what's happening now. Change is coming. I'm sorry. Change is here. It's not coming. It is absolutely here. And you hear them talk about this wealth transfer. You hear, you may have heard drippings of universal income, meaning everybody gets some income. Things are changing, right? You've heard about the greatest wealth transfer on earth is coming in the history, right? How are you going to take part in that if you still are operating with those mindsets, habits, and things that have been passed down to you, unbeknownst to you and unknowingly and unconsciously, right? And how do you benefit from those things if you don't heal and redefine your personal financial relationship so that it works in your favor, right? So commit to you and to your family. 3 to 9 months will change your life forever. Some people don't need 3 months, but then what are you doing with your family? How are you passing down things that are good and strong and beneficial to that next generation? So commit to you and your family. Walk the journey. It might be hard sometimes, again, depending upon where you are, but I promise you, it will be worth it. So the only homework today is do something to take a step forward. Do something to take a step forward. If this information has been helpful, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn notifications on so that you don't miss a training. Share this information with somebody else. That's the other thing. We got to quit being gatekeepers to our own success, but also we got to quit being gatekeepers to other people's success because of what you might think they might think if you share a thing with them. If you need a personal strategy or business strategy or life insurance, powers of attorneys, let's talk about it. The links for scheduling a consultation are in the description below. I will leave you with this, and I say it all of the time. Give yourself some grace. We don't know why we operate the way that we operate. I try to define it and show you and tell you that it is because of, this financial relationship that everyone has that wasn't defined by them. So give yourself some grace. Keep striving for your next level and keep striving to improve the financial relationship for you, and then create a healthy one for your children and build a system of success for the generations that follow you. Never give up on you and invest in you. I promise you, it is the best investment you will ever make. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you next time, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity. Thank you again, and I will see you